Hey, it's your girl Mambo Kira, and today we're going to be talking about ancestor veneration. We're going to be talking about hoodoo, but before we get into that, it's your girl Mambo Kira, and this is formerly known as Mystic Mommy Podcast, but now it is the Concrete Curandera Podcast. I did decide to switch and change things up. So we're going to be focusing a lot more on African traditional religions, which are ATRs, spirituality, voodoo, necromancy, healing, herbalism, so many different topics. I know when you first started to get into Mystic Mommy podcast or listen and support me, my topics were a little bit different. It will kind of be the same, but kind of, with growth is evolution. I started this podcast in 2020, 6 years ago, and I took a year off to kind of continue to further my journey, to initiate, to do a lot of different things I needed to do to be able to continue forth on my spiritual journey. And along the way, I met a lot of amazing, beautiful people. And I've gotten so lucky enough. I want to say she's a mentee because she did come to me for a reading and I kind of guided her and assisted her. But I feel like she's more of a spiritual sister because she's just so just wise, so bold, so amazing, so spiritual and gifted that I've gotten lucky enough that the spirits, kind of guided her to me. And ever since I met her and learned her backstory, I was just in complete awe about her spiritual journey and how she was able to push through and continue to go and become, an amazing voodoo practitioner. And I even got to learn about hoodoo through her. But with that being said, on this podcast, we're going to talk about ancestor veneration. We're going to talk about hoodoo. We're going to talk about how you can kind of continue to further on your journey and just so much more. And I thank you so much for tuning in. But I'm going to be talking to Naoka today, who's a hoodoo practitioner. Her information, if you want to reach out to her and book a reading, all of her information is in the bio. But with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and here we go. Okay, so we have here Naoka with us today, and she's going to give us a little bit of her background and just kind of go into the kind of work that she does. We're just doing an interview, kind of a Q&A, just to talk a little bit more about her spiritual journey, her path, and connecting with her ancestors. So you take it from here, Naoka, and just give a little introduction about who you are and what you do.
Okay, well, my name is Naoka, as my boo said. I'm from South Carolina, born and raised, so a lot of Geechee runs through my vein. Um, Kind of was forced and kangaroo kicked into my spiritual journey. However, it has been a beautiful journey. Like through all the trials and tribulations, it really has been something that has taught me to truly rely on myself, and I encourage everyone to truly step into like your full potential, your full power. And don't be afraid of it. I think that's the biggest thing. People just are afraid of what they don't know. But
Mhm.
outside of that, I'm down to earth. You know, just now I'm learning more about myself and my lineage. I don't see how people don't tap into their ancestors and really like work with them to get what they want and they desire, and to
Mhm.
move energy around. Now that I'm learning more about it, it's amazing. So, but yeah, that's a little bit about me. But yeah, I was basically kangaroo kicked into this, but we're here today.
I think all the hard workers, you pretty much just kind of get tossed into it and it's like, figure it out, right?
Yeah, it's like, figure it out, girl. You got it. Oh
Be
no,
all
I
right.
don't.
I can resonate with that. I do.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
Also, what kind of work do you do like as a practitioner? What is like your specialty or what do you prefer to do as a practitioner?
So currently right now, hoodoo. So a lot of justice work, a lot of protection work, a lot of cleansing, a lot of healing,
Mhm.
um, bringing in the coins, all of
Mhm.
those things. That's what I'm about. So that's kind of my lineage. Not my lineage, but yeah, it is part of my lineage. But that's pretty much what I do right now. Heavy on the protection, heavy on the justice. You know what I'm saying? And heavy on the healing. you
Mm.
know. So I think a lot of practitioners skip that part when they're working with people,
Mhm.
teaching them what's needed to upkeep and heal themselves first. But um, Yeah. So we do a lot of justice. I only have to do what I have to do and get down and dirty if I have to do it.
Right, right. But it comes with the territory, right? That's something that
Correct.
shows you
It
where you
definitely comes
come
with the territory for
from.
sure. For sure. No, for a long time I was loving light. But
Uh-huh.
baby, you learn real quick. You can't be
It
like that. You
goes,
gotta have
it only
duality.
goes so far. You can only be loving life for so long.
Correct. You want to get your ass, you want to kick your ass drunk? Oh, okay. So yeah, definitely about duality. So, and I think that's where there's a lot of misconception when it comes to, practices, is that people don't understand that it does require duality. So,
Mhm.
but yeah. So that's primarily what I do. Baths, spiritual baths and things of that nature, stuff like that to kind of keep people cleansed and things of that nature. So
Okay. And then I just want to go back a little bit, and if you could just like tell or describe to us, when did you start to realize on your spiritual journey that it was more than just like, oh, this is deeper than my family history, and I'm like actually meant to be a practitioner, I'm meant to do more than that.
So this is probably my first time sharing this story with anyone, but I remember when I first started going through spiritual warfare, like extreme, and you know what I've been through.
Mhm.
Um, but when I first started going through it, my house just it didn't feel like a home. It didn't feel easy. Like I was uncomfortable laying in my bed. I was uncomfortable just being in my space. So when it was time for me to pray, I'd always go in my closet.
Mhm.
And for whatever day I was getting hit so hard this day, I went in my closet and I played my grandma's favorite song, which is Come On in the Room by the Georgia Mass Choir. I was in there like crying, like boohoo, ugly crying, just on my knees, like, y'all, I just need this to stop. And I felt something mount me, right?
Mhm.
But this was like an ancestor that really she didn't speak English, but I could translate what she was saying. And it sounds like speaking in tongue, but I also know that it was someone way down my lineage that mounted me. And so as I'm speaking, where somebody from the church would hear it, they was like, she's speaking in tongue, but I could understand what she was telling me to do in that moment, right? And so at that point, I kind of it goes further than just like your grandma. Even though my grandma, my great grandma, my great great grandma, they're very strong, right? But whoever this was that came forth that day, because I was getting hit so hard, it's like this is beyond just what your family tells you or who your family tells you, right?
Mhm.
Because a lot of people don't go beyond that. We don't research, right? We may stop at, well, my great grandma was the last person I knew that did it. And so that's all I know. But we don't necessarily do the research to see who walked with us or what's in our lineage. And I think that was at that point, I was like, I gotta find somebody to help me like expand outside of this, because it really is you having to learn like who to tap in with for what.
Mhm.
So at that day, like experiencing that mounting, and it didn't feel heavy, it didn't feel bad. It was like she was covering me to tell me what to do to protect myself in that moment. And
Mhm.
I went and did what she told me to do, and I was in there. Know what was taking place, but it felt like stuff was being ripped off of me in that moment once she told me what I needed to do to protect myself. So it definitely goes beyond just what you know as far as your family. It's really researching what's in your lineage for sure.
Mhm. And that actually brings me to like the next question that I wanted to ask was like, how did you walk into that path of doing hoodoo? Like, how did that find you? I know you had that experience, but what was it that kind of solidified it and made you actually seek? Like, how did you start to get onto that journey?
Now I'm going to be honest. My grandmother, she was who, but because my mom was really into the church, a lot of stuff stopped with my grandmother, right? And so a lot of the stuff that I would watch her do when I was a little kid, because she was like a very powerful woman. She was a protector. She did a lot of work for people, right? But at the time, I didn't understand what it was because I was so young. She might be like, go bury that in the backyard." I'm like, "Grandma, why I'm doing it?" Like different stuff, right? And so I honestly didn't understand it, but I don't think people understand. A lot of us do hoodoo on a regular basis.
Mhm.
It's just in our DNA, but um,
And like tradition as
yeah,
well,
it's
too,
like
right?
tradition, right? But for me, it's like because I was pushed into it because of what I was going through, I really didn't have the time to like read books on it. It was kind of like it's sink or swim. Like we're telling you what to do and this is what you need to do. You know what I'm saying? And a
Mhm.
lot of my visions and things would come through me for them to show me like what I need to do, what I need to do to protect myself, what type of baths, what type of herbs I needed, all of those things. So I didn't really get a chance to study it. It was like, you ready? We're here now. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So it was one of those things like I was introduced to it based upon me going through the spiritual warfare I was going through at the time. So yeah.
And now, would you say, is there like a particular ancestor that came to you first, or that you maybe connect with more than other ancestors, or one that kind of comes through strong? I feel like I know the answer to that, but I
Yeah,
still
you
want
do.
to
You
ask.
bet. My mom Rue, which is my great great grandma, she's strong. Like she's really really strong. So I usually, and again, when I'm helping people, I also let them know like there are certain ancestors you're gonna call on for different things.
Mhm.
But when I'm under heavy, if it's something heavy that I need, I'm calling on her for sure, for
Mhm.
sure. Yeah, she come through.
And is it through dreams, or is it more so through visions? Is it
um.
divination? How do you
For
connect with her?
her, it kind of depends. I can be walking in here and I can feel her presence. Like if it's something that she needs my attention, it's like I'll be in here and she'll be like, I can hear her Geechee accent, so I know when she's present, you know. So it's like it depends on how severe it is. If it's something that I might just need to like tighten up on, she may show up in a dream. But if it's something I need to do immediately, I can feel her presence
Yeah.
for sure.
And now, how would you to like describe hoodoo to someone who doesn't know what it is? You know, even though in this day and age, I feel like people think they know what it is, but not everyone really does know. What would you say is the difference between like hoodoo and I guess what some people confuse as like voodoo or
Mhm.
witchcraft? How would you describe it to you?
Well, I think I will say this. For hoodoo, it's about restoring the lineage, the strength of your lineage, right? Because and voodoo as well, I think it gets bad reps because of sometimes people, but this could be anything. I tell people anything, there's bad in all, right? There's pastors in Christianity that are evil. So when people automatically hear voodoo or hoodoo and automatically associate it with witchcraft and they don't really truly try to grasp the concept of what it is, I'm like, this is how we venerate and bring back the strength in our bloodline and our lineage, because half of our ancestors couldn't read. Like it's like a lot of
Mhm.
the things that people now feel like, oh, well, if you're not doing it this way, A, B, and C, then you're wrong. It's kind of like our ancestors didn't have a choice. So when people ask what voodoo is, I always refer to it's definitely healing, right? My first thing was, outside of trying to protect myself, is healing my bloodline first because the more you heal your bloodline and venerate your bloodline, you'll start to really see things shift because those ancestors that really need to come through. So it's about venerating and strengthening your bloodline, working with your herbs, learning how to heal. Like we're dying so young now because we're getting further and further away from natural
Mhm.
practices, right? That's what hoodoo is, right? And so outside of, actually doing conjure work, like learning that I'm a two-headed doctor is what we would call it down south. It's one of those things like, yes, I can heal, yes, I can cleanse, yes, I can do all these things, but I also can do what needs to be done when it was time to do justice. And that's what our ancestors were about. It's
Mhm.
all about justice and protection, money, you know what I'm saying, and making sure like they kept the family together, you know what I'm saying. So when I speak on hoodoo, it's really about, I want people to truly grasp like everything is not witchcraft. Like
Mhm.
we have to get out of that mindset. And the more people study it, I think the easier it is to comprehend when people are talking about certain things because people will be like, oh, that's demonic to pick up a candle. And I'm like, well, if you're in a situation and somebody pull a gun on you and you're licensed to carry, you go, like, what are you going to do? I just pick up a candle versus a gun. Like, it's just, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Protection is just different.
Mhm.
So it's one of those things like, it's like healing, you know what I'm saying? It's healing, it's all of those things that we need right now to move through this shift. So
And I did want to touch back on when you mentioned that hoodoo is healing, and we did talk about the ancestors, but I do want to know, how were you able to identify the ancestors that were meant for working, and then the
mhm.
ancestors you were able to identify that just needed to kind of be venerated to uplift them and they
Mhm.
needed healing versus them working with you? How were you able to like establish a difference or notice a difference between the two?
It's so funny because it was a huge debate on Facebook. This guy had made a
Oh.
post, and
Hmm.
he was like, "How?" He was like, "Imagine praying to your ancestors, and you call in crackheads and drug addicts and
Oh
things of that nature, right?"
no.
And so I'm like, "Whoa, wait a minute, right?" And so he was like, "I was like, people have to understand, like, if you had a crackhead in your family." That's
Yeah.
the one you probably want to send to do what you need. You know
That's
what I'm
the
saying?
shooter.
I
That's
don't
the
know.
shooter, right?
Right. I don't know not one weak crackhead. I don't. You know what I'm saying? So we so when I need certain things, like for example, I know I have an uncle. He was mean as hell when he was in the physical, he was mean, but he was also military.
Hmm.
So it's like when I need certain things and somebody that just don't care about, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
I'm gonna call on him. I
Hmm.
had a little cousin, he was bad as hell, hijacked cars, you know what I'm saying? Like he's passed away some years ago. I think he passed away when he was like 13 or 14. He passed away in an accident. But when I need somebody to go tell me what somebody's doing, that's who I call him because he knows it. He might come out, hey, cuz this was like, so you have to know, and I can tell by their voice, you know what I'm saying? Like I can literally hear how they sound when they were in the physical. So
Hmm.
it's like one of those things. I go based off energy to kind of feel like what ancestors have truly been elevated and venerated. And depending on what I need done, that's how I move, right? For some of the ancestors that come through, like you said, that just may come through, because you got some that may come through try to block some things, right? Now you
Hmm.
don't need to call on all of them, but
Right.
um I I I feel energy. So it's like if it's like a really heavy feeling, for me, even though they're communicating and not saying anything bad, I also know that's not somebody I'm ready to work with yet, you know? But if it comes through and it's light, I get hot, really hot,
Hmm.
like I know that's somebody that's present, ready to work and do what we got to do to get it done. So I use how my body feels because a lot of times I get mounted a lot. Like, but it's to work through, you know what I'm saying? Especially if I'm in deep
Yeah.
meditation, it's for me to do my work and then they go, right?
Like
But I
spirit will
also
work
know
through
like if
you.
something heavy comes in, I'm like, no, you know, you can't have that here. You know what I'm saying? So it's just about using discernment, right?
Hmm.
Because just like when you deal with people, you can kind of feel out like, for the most part, hey, I don't really like that person's energy. For me, it's the same thing. And everybody's different. Some people get chills when they got an ancestor. Some people get, everybody has different feelings, but that's how I have learned to discern like which one is here to really work. Like if I
Hmm.
get real high, I'm like, oh, somebody ready. Like they ready to go. And then the ones that's kind of like they don't really know why they're here, it feels heavy. It just feels like, no, not yet, baby. Yeah. I'll work with you a little bit more. Yeah.
So I've had that as well, where it's like I had some ancestors that are like, "Oh, I'm here to work," and they'll make their presence known. And then I've had some where solely it was just for elevation because
Correct.
they weren't being acknowledged. And
Mhm.
I have family that were priests and priestess, and then they converted to Christianity and left it alone. So it's kind of like, here you go. So it was like everything was
Yep.
given to me to kind of like pick up and go from there. So I can resonate with that. And I do have family members, some of them where the word is like chapiadora, which is like a gold digger. So of course, if
Okay.
I want some money magic, some money work,
That's
that's what I'm
cool.
gonna
That's
go
the
to.
problem.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
when you were saying I resonate, I completely get it. I think everyone tries to look for like the light and everything, but sometimes you can work whatever it is that you want, and it's all about like you utilizing your power for what you want instead of looking at is it good, is it bad? You know what I mean?
Correct.
How do you
Hmm.
work it to better
Yep.
utilize it for yourself?
Absolutely.
Now, have you ever doubted your work?
Oh,
Have you?
girl, plenty of times. Especially when I first got started, I used to be like, like, and I'll never forget. I was getting ready to do something, and I like again. I always revert back to my grandma, my move, and someone was sending death magic to me, and I was getting ready to do a return center, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is during that time, like I don't know, I don't want it, I don't want nothing bad, like in there in tears about sending some shit back to somebody else, right? And I heard my grandma come through like, girl, if you don't get, they trying to take you out of you in here in tears. If you
Mhm.
don't get to work, at that point, it's like, okay. But then when I really started seeing the results, like now, if I light a reversal, 90% of the time, whoever it hits is going to reach out to me.
Mm.
Like, hey, I'm going to, hey, oh my gosh, all these things are happening. Yeah. Yeah, almost
Love it when you
immediately.
hear when you know what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I
Or
knew
yeah,
it
I remember
was.
I called, I was like, one day I was hearing sirens. I was like, what is going on? They got a way of letting me hear conversations.
Mhm.
Like it, I'm telling you, once you really start tapping into it, they're gonna let you know when somebody getting their ass to. And I almost could tell because I've been here getting my head knocked between the watches. I'm like, who's getting their ass drugged? Because what? I'm here to fight. I was, what? Who was getting that? And I would hear one of my ancestors say, oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's not gonna last long. Go in there, take you a bath, do what you gotta do, and I'll go cleanse myself. I'll come back out. I was like, well, damn, somebody is there. So yeah, it's like, yeah, it's one of those things they're gonna show you. But yeah, in the beginning when I first started, because again, I'm the one that's picking up really where everybody left off. So it's like I didn't have nobody to pick up the phone and call, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey grandma,
Yeah.
how do it was just like you really have to listen to your intuition and you really have to use discernment and you really have to understand it's sink or swim. It's gonna be you or them.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's real. Definitely, if it's you or them, and that's how you learn how to trust and work that left hand because it will come a time where it's just like, am I alive? Like, you know what I mean?
Bro, plenty of days. Oh my gosh. I was like, is that real? Why am I sitting in this person's kitchen looking over them telling them, oh my God.
No, I've definitely had those experiences as well where I could hear the conversation. It'll almost feel like I'm in a dream state, but I'm not. And I'll
Mhm.
hear a full-blown conversation about me happening or where I will like remote travel to someone during a dream and I can see the conversation being had or the ritual that was being performed or something like that. So
Mhm.
what made you trust and believe that those actual visions and experiences were real? What solidified it for you?
I think what
The
started to
situation.
solidify is when you start seeing actually what people are going through. Like,
Mm,
because most of the time I'm not hexing or jinxing nobody, but I'm gonna send back what you sent to me, right? Or my son, or whatever it was that your intentions were. So when you hear people falling ill and falling sick, like almost immediately after doing what you need to do, or
mm,
somebody calling you like, "Girl, I just got in a car accident." I remember one girl sent me a picture of her car. The mirror, the side mirror, flew off and into her car, shattered her whole passenger side. Right. This is why I tell people sometimes you gotta be careful because a lot of people they don't do enough research, right? People just want it's ego driven. A lot of these practitioners, new age practitioners, are very ego driven, right? The moment you do something they don't like, they want to put you in jaw, shake you up all night. It's like, but it's like being here just to say, like, girl, what is what? Who
so
got
true.
me in a
It's
jar? Like, what?
so true.
Yeah, so it's like one of those things. Like it started becoming surreal where I could be out and I would have visions. Like you're like, who is that? And I might see like an update on Facebook or somehow she was like, girl, such and such. They're gonna always ensure that I know
Hmm.
what you did. It landed.
Hmm.
So go ahead and put your mind at ease.
Yeah. Now, with your ancestors, do you feel like there was anything that you had to, obviously, there had to have been a sacrifice, right? Because
Mhm.
you don't feel normal anymore. You don't feel like a normal person. There's certain things you can't do, there's certain things that you can't.
Sure.
Yeah, you're not normal. You completely devoted your life to something. Now, what would
Mhm.
you say was maybe the biggest or like the hardest sacrifice that you had to make once you really walked into your path and
I'll
accepted?
be I'll be honest. The hardest thing for me is because I have such a big heart, was actually hearing like, oh, it's time to let that person go. They can't be around no more. Yeah, I'm like, what? Like, I just made a friend.
Those don't exist.
Like,
They don't
those don't
exist.
exist in the spiritual. I'm telling you. They be like, oh, you think that's your friend? But this is what was going on. Like, and then you start to hear the actual conversations of people. plotting, you know, like doing certain things behind your back or saying certain things. I'll put this on everything. It was this one particular girl, and me and her fell out for whatever reason. Her friend ended up calling me and we're talking. I heard the conversation clear as day. And the girl was talking cold cash, you know. And so I'm listening to her friend tell me everything because now they don't fell out. So as I'm listening, I said, yeah, I heard a conversation. I said, I didn't know who it was with. And A, B, and C was saying, she was like, girl, that was exactly what came out her mouth. I said, I heard it. Right. So it's like one of those things. It was like the biggest thing is like understanding that no, once you tapped in, you're never going to have a normal life because you're going to be able to see things on people. You're going to be able to hear conversations. You're going to know their motives. It's stuff, especially if they're detrimental to my past. Now, I tell people all the time, you're still going to go through experiences, right? We can't negate experiences, right? That's how we build character. That's how you build your skill. That's how you build all of those things. However, I know for sure if it's somebody coming in and they're detrimental to my path, they're getting cleared out.
Mm-hmm.
It don't take long.
Mm-hmm.
It don't
Even if
take
it's not
long.
by you either, too.
Right. It be them. They're gone. Gone. They do not play because it's like you're finally at a place where you're focused on you. You focus on what you're supposed to do. Anybody coming in distracted, they gotta go. And I mean, it's quick. What? Damn, I don't even talk to that person no
It's
more.
like
What
a
happened?
window sweep all the time. They do that. It's real quick. Like
Real quick. Like, dang, but I don't question it anymore. You know what I'm saying? And I
Mhm.
tell people every day, hey, if you're still here, it's about they must like you. Because I'm tell you, I treat everything now like an experience.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm supposed to learn something from you, or you're supposed to learn something from me. And that's just supposed to be how it is, you know?
Mhm.
So yeah. It's definitely lonely. It can be
It
lonely
does.
at times because and then you don't resonate with people the same. You know?
No.
It's like I'm in here happy about candle work. Like, girl, what? I can't even call nobody and tell about it because they're like, what? Like, what are you talking about? So yeah, it's definitely one of those things. I don't even feel like it's a sacrifice anymore though. It's more like it's a blessing to be honest. Like,
Mhm.
because I think oftentimes we want to surround ourselves with people, but at the same time, it's like we living in times now where everybody got a motive and it's so weird. And I've never moved like that, so I don't understand it sometimes, but everybody got a motive. And it's just like at the end of the day, I'm thankful for that. I've always really been a loner. It's cool to have people to talk to, but I've always been a loner. So I think even going through that phase where they were clearing people out, even the occasional people that I talked to, family, it was like, damn, okay, well, here we are. I got y'all though.
And I can definitely agree with that sentiment as well because once I kind of decided to venture into voodoo and really like solidifying that, like the whole thing, my family completely disconnected from them because that was something that they weren't accepting of. But they're like one of those weird like closet practitioners. Like they go to church, but then
Ooh, I
they'll go
bet.
pay somebody to put witchcraft on somebody. You know what I mean? So they're like one of those
It's
kind
like that in the church in Christianity
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I tell people everything has a different name, but it's the same across
It's
the
the same
board.
stuff. It's the same
Yeah.
thing.
Mhm.
Exactly. So I can definitely resonate where it's like my family end up becoming the spirits, which is very weird. Anybody who doesn't understand, but like it is weird because I can ask them for anything, like money or something's going on, and I always can hear like, "You're gonna be all right. It's okay." And the next day it'll be something that comes through, and I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
You know, they are always there for you. Now, someone who's new or a beginner or they're going through some things, what is something that you would either like recommend or where can they take their first steps?
Well, I always say start if you're not going through anything extreme where it causes you to automatically dive in first. I say shadow work and
Mhm.
start healing first because I think
Wait,
a lot
I
of
do
people
want to
skip.
pause right there.
Mhm.
Shadow work is very, very important, but how did you begin your shadow work? Because it does look different for everyone else.
Everybody.
So,
Yeah,
mhm.
for sure. So I think with my my shadow work, I think a lot of traumas were brought to the forefront once I started going through what I was going through because I clearly was blind to what warlocks were because I promise
Mhm.
you it was back to
Mhm.
back and I was like
It's not funny, but I get
right. Look,
it.
and I was in here chuckling. I was like, it would be sometimes I'd be laughing on our Zoom and you'd be looking like, girl, do you know what you're going through? I trying to laugh to keep from crying. But it's one of those things. For me, my shadow work was learning, first of all, discernment, because I'm gonna be honest, the first warlock I encountered, who's now a pastor, I during COVID, I had a dream about this. My grandma was standing but I couldn't see his face. I could just see like his skin tone, his hair, all of those things, but his face was blurred out. And my grandmother was standing in the middle of us, but she was looking at me, and I didn't know who this man was. I was like, but she had this stern look on her face, like, you better not, right? And I remember after COVID ended, I went to go work for this barbershop, and the guy would be standing out there every day. He would speak. I thought he was just a hobo. Like, he would just be around the barbershop. Come to find out, he had all of these businesses, all of these things. But anyway, I say this to say this. It was like going through that situation, understanding that he was doing what he was doing behind the scenes with his spiritual mama to me, then going into another warlock. It was like, bro, I'm about to lose my mind, because there is no way. I feel like I've been dealing with him all my life. I just didn't recognize it. And I think that's the important thing. That was like my biggest lesson, is just like, don't let your guard down too easy, and pay attention. Cause I just be, I be thinking like, I don't operate like that. But
Hmm.
it's people out here that really do.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's one of those things. My shadow work was centered around healing certain aspects of abandonment issues. And I don't even think like, you know, it's one of those things, like you said, it's different for everybody, but I had to learn that it is okay to be by yourself, right? And when people are leaving, it's for a reason, right?
Hmm.
And so I think going through the shadow work, working through that, because a lot of people like to throw work based off of ego, right? And if you don't work on certain aspects of your life, you're going to automatically feel like everything is an attack, everybody's up against you, and then you're going to just start doing shit out of spite and out of ego, right? So I tell people all the time, the first step, whatever shadow work looks like, whether that's journaling, because I was big on journaling, I did automatic writing. I was really big on going to the water. Like, I would get up and just drive. The nearest ocean was like 3 hours. I would get out and go to the water. Like, all of that, I incorporated the things that made me feel like I was in a really strong healing space. That's what I incorporated in my shadow work. But again, I tell people all the time, like you said, it is different for everybody, right? Some people got to cry. Some people got to go to therapy. Whatever you got to do to maneuver through that, so that when you do start working, you're not operating out of ego.
Hmm. I think that's one of the most important things is when you are going through your shadow work that you do experience like an ego death, and it's very painful
Mm-hmm.
because you're not
Mm-hmm.
sure, we kind of survive. Like people who went through a lot of trauma, you survive on ego. Like it's the only thing that
Right.
kind of keeps you going at that point. So once that dies, it almost feels like kind of a rebirth once you start going through the shadow work, but it's very painful. It's a very painful
Mm-hmm.
transformation.
For
Um,
sure.
I do have a question, just out of curiosity. Why do you think you attracted so many warlocks?
So I'll be honest, right? Because I was thinking about this today, and I was
Okay.
like, out of all, because they all had a motive with me, right?
Mhm.
So the most recent one that was really bad, he was really strong in his, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Not no more, but he was. But but his intent, his goal was, he kept saying he wanted to have a baby. Right now, at the time I met him, he's 50, and so he didn't have any kids, any children, none of that, right? But a lot of I'm learning now, a lot of warlocks need to continue their lineage with a certain type of woman. Like, I don't feel like they can procreate with anybody if they want to continue like a strong bloodline, like a strong
Mhm.
bringing a baby into this world that has the, what I'm saying, the
Yeah.
capacity and the gifts, right? Most of them wanted to conceive with me. Like, that was their goal, right?
Mhm.
Off the rip. And I was like, damn, what, 2 months? What are we talking about babies already? Like, what's going on? Like, I don't even know you like that, right? I don't know if you got, oh, I don't know what's in your lineage, right?
Yeah.
But for both of them, well, the three of them, they all wanted to conceive, right? And I feel like they knew my power before I did, right?
Mhm.
I didn't until I met you, I really didn't know I did not know, right? I knew I had a gift. I knew I had a gift of sight. I've always seen spirits, right?
Mhm.
But when you have been taught to restrict certain aspects of your spiritual gifts, that stuff becomes, unless you're using it, it kind of becomes, it weakens, right? And I remember when I met the gentleman that's now a pastor, and I'm using gentleman loosely. I remember going to his house one day and it was this man floating.
Sorry.
There was this man floating in the top of his stairway. And I said, did somebody pass away here? And he was like, why? I said, I see a man up here. I said, but I can only see from his stomach up. I said it looked like maybe something might have happened, you know. And he was like, well, my dad passed away here. And he was like, he had pancreatic cancer. They went in to do surgery and punctured something and he passed away. He bought him there to, but I've always seen spirits. So the sight of spirits didn't, really bother me. But that man tried to make me feel like I was crazy. He's like, yo, see, but he saw me, he already knew who I
Mhm.
was. That's why he watched me for 3 or 4 months before he even approached me. You know, they do that. So it's like they'll study you, whether they find you online, whatever it is. If they know your name, they're getting readings to figure out who you are, what you're. I'm telling, these men go above and beyond, and I never want it for nothing, right?
Mhm.
They come off extremely charismatic. They paying all the bills. I was looking at my cash out the other day. I said, "Oh, this man is for me." The whole time, whole time, they trying to take me up out of here. You know what I'm saying? It's like, wanted me to give him a baby and get me up out of here. I'm just like, I'm telling you, like the things that I go through. I know for sure. I said I gotta start telling my story because my mind is blown sometimes, even when I'm just sitting here thinking and process. Like, girl,
Oh yeah.
like, yeah, it's a lot. But I think they seek out women that don't know themselves yet in the spiritual realm. But
Mhm.
if you keep attracting them, it's like they want something.
Yeah.
Whether it's your spiritual gifts, whether it's your destiny, whether it's you creating a baby with them, it's whatever. But they all have a end game goal. I promise you, every last one of them.
No, I definitely believe that because I could do a whole episode on warlocks, okay? Because I got my sleeves up and I've been in that a little bit, so I know I have to leave them alone. So when I say I get it, I get it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but I don't want to hold you up too much. I did want to kind of just, wrap it up a little bit and see if you had any recommendations, whether books, mentors,
Hmm.
or anything that helped you with your ancestor veneration and to
Hmm.
kind of learn a little bit about hoodoo, even though I know more so spirit kind of speaks through you.
Hmm.
And then also, like, what do you hope that people take from this conversation or could basically learn from you? Because I feel like even though when I first met you, you were coming to seek some assistance, I feel like I was in awe with your story because you were just so, like you said, it's like everyone can see you before you saw who you were. And when I first met you, I was like, oh my gosh, she's so powerful, and I'm just happy you finally like stepped into it. So if you could
Hmm.
just, any books, any recommendations, and just kind of what you want people to learn from this.
Hmm. Well, of course, I would recommend you as a mentor because, baby, listen, you had the patience. Well, listen. I promise you, I tell you all the time, I'm so grateful for you because
Aw.
I really am. Because I'm like, bro, and then it was like trying to find a mentor that wasn't looking to take advantage of you, like
Yeah.
genuinely was like, well, you know what? If you feel like that's what you need to do and that's what you feel called to, and not be like, no, that's wrong. Because a
Mhm.
lot of these people try to sway you into what they believe is the right way. But I tell people all the time, everybody practices are different, right?
Yeah.
So how you might work one route, I might not work it like that. Doesn't mean it's not gonna get the same outcome. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So mentor, my boo. And then it's like
Aw. Thanks.
I'll tell you, y'all, if y'all need somebody, I promise you, y'all won't be disappointed. I promise you. I feel
Aw.
like this has been the most, like, once I started working with you, at first I would get my ass tore out the front. I was like, Karen, I'm doing this right. But you like, yeah, you are. But it's like removing all of that stuff where people have been working you for
So
years.
long. Hmm.
But I'm just finally in a good space right now. So it's like, yes, 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 yes. Shout out to my mentor. But recommendations, I will say definitely research, take your time.
Mhm.
Take your time. That's what I will say. Like I said, unless you're just in a situation like me where I was like, I literally was kangaroo kicked in. If you're in a space where you can actually find a mentor and learn it and learn the proper way to do things, take your time. You know, I think people be in awe about doing certain workings, not understanding that if you don't close it out properly, if you conjure up the wrong spirit and don't know how to lay that spirit down, if
Mm.
you in here, you know, conjuring up different stuff, and now you in here working with a spirit, you ain't gave the spirit no offering. Now you looking crazy because you got something standing over. You know what I'm saying?
Collecting
Like,
payment, yeah.
right, right. And you know, a lot of people are so hard headed, and I'm one of those people. I'm like, when you come to me for any type of working, the first thing we're gonna do is I always like to tell my clients to cleanse while I'm working because I feel like that's imperative. So learning how to cleanse yourself and all those things. But the biggest thing that I can say that I recommend first learn the basics, protection and cleansing.
Mhm.
Like skipping, if you jump into some stuff and you ain't learned the basics,
Mhm.
better prepare to get drugged.
Mhm.
And so, but yeah, to be honest, I don't really, I'm be honest, like I said, I haven't really had an opportunity to really find any books per se when it comes. Because like I said, everything I get is through my visions or, you know what I'm saying, through my automated writing. So when they have me making different tinctures and teas and stuff like that, that's all stuff that I get from them, you know? So, um, unless it's something I really need to research, I don't really have any books per se. But outside of that, I will say make sure that you're doing your research on your lineage, finding out who walked with you, find somebody that really genuinely cares about, you know, your outcome, because that's important. Again, learning protection and cleansing first and foremost before diving into anything. And then just take your time. Like that's like I said, that's the biggest thing. Like I said, unless you're in something where you have to, you know, dive into it. You know, I think I was just a little delayed with everything. So it was like boom, boom, boom. It just kind of hit me. But if you can take your time, find you a solid mentor, work with them, learn what you can, and ask all the questions that you need to. As far as contacting me, my website is houseofhagnos.com. It's HOUSEOFHAGNOS.com. All of my services and products can be booked there. It's House of Hagnos on TikTok and Instagram. So all of my handles are the same. So I can be contacted on any of those platforms.
And then also, what do you hope that people find out from this conversation or can learn from this conversation?
I hope people learn from this conversation that we can have different belief systems, but all in all, it's the same,
Mhm.
right? And I hope people learn to be more open minded. I hope people learn to value and trust the people that have walked before them. You
Mhm.
know, I tell people all the time, I trust spirits before I trust people.
Mhm.
I have learned that, you know, like, so, you know, be open minded. Like, not everything is demonic, right? You know, it's all about how you're using it and your intentions behind it. So I just hope people have a more open mind when it comes to how other people work, what we do, and actually listen and learn, you know, versus automatically being judgmental when it comes to things that you just don't know about or unsure about.
Okay. Yeah, I actually like that as well. Because I do feel like voodoo, I think the worst part is like people see what's on social media and they kind of take from that and they think they know everything. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even going to get deep into it, but I know I saw a video about someone talking about animal sacrifice and how it's like unnecessary
Mm-hmm.
in a spiritual path. But as in ATRs, there are a lot of animal sacrifices, but it's like if you're not initiated into it, or if you don't practice it, or if your family didn't practice it, then you
You
don't
don't
understand.
understand
So
it.
how do you speak on it, right? Like
Mhm.
even with hoodoo, even though I have some understanding, I understood also as a mentor, I was like, you know, Naoka, you're gonna have to take some of this and you're gonna have to go by yourself. I can only, lead you to the water. Shit, I could
Mhm.
probably help you swim a little bit, but at some point I'm gonna have to be like, all right, girl, I gotta push your little boat off and you gotta go. And you had to learn from your journey to like
Right.
to go on that. And there's things that I don't even know about hoodoo, or I kind of like know a little bit of a concept, but I'm like, that's something I'll probably never know because I don't have a deep family lineage in it. But it is
Right.
nice to be able to connect with other practitioners and kind of just see how you like blossom and you utilize the, what you were able to, I guess, kind of understand in some sense and kind of shape it into your own craft. So I really appreciate you for coming and talking. And I just
Appreciate the
I will be I
invite.
really adore you, and just seeing you like blossom from like a, you was like a little seed and now you're a whole tree. It's so beautiful. I just love to see it so much. Like I truly do.
I appreciate the invite. I really enjoyed this. Like I really did. I think it's like imperative. I wish there were more podcasts like this where people can actually listen and understand and get to know people. But I appreciate the invite. You know,
Oh, you my girl. I don't know. I'm gonna have to get you back on here again because I feel like you so connected and in tune. But I really do appreciate you. I just want you to know that so much. I'm very, very grateful for you.
same here, girl. Same here. We sisters for life. We locked in, honey.
We are.
So yeah, so I appreciate it for real. Like I think this is a dope opportunity. So I can't wait to come back.